And a good evening to everyone on a Wednesday night. This is Leslie Daniel Chan from DeFi Singapore itself. Thank you for joining in. As with all the Wednesdays nights, spending the time with us on this channel itself, we try to bring you the best information on crypto news itself, and also we like to bring you not just the DeFi news, the crypto news, but the latest itself is the NFT trends itself. And so today, Adele, who is my co-host on DeFi Singapore itself, she will be doing an interview with Amrita, and I will leave her to introduce this awesome lady who's turned into an NFT artist, and you guys can actually ask questions along the way. If this is your first time joining us, do give me a like and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. And without further ado, I would like to introduce my co-host for tonight, Adele Wong.
Hi, thank you so much, Leslie. And of course, very good evening to all of our regular DeFi Singapore audiences. You can tell tonight I'm a little bit more formal because I'm really excited for this guest we have today. So, all right, I know that there are a lot of people who've been also waiting to meet her. So it's 9:01. I think we will get the show started. So special treat for our DeFi Singapore viewers today. We have, always had a huge interest in NFT over here. And we have found for you tonight the perfect left brain, right brain guest to talk to us. And she's none other than financial advisor who majored in economics, turned successful digital and sound artist who also studied mixed media. And she's now one of the #1 top-selling NFT artists, Amrita Sethi. So happy.
Hi, Adele. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And hi, Leslie. And thank you so much for having me today.
So happy to have you with us. So excited. Where are you right now? Do you want to say hi to our
I'm currently in very sunny Dubai. It's just like 5 o'clock here in the evening, so also setting into the evening. I've actually been based in Dubai since 2007, but I'm originally actually from Kenya, of Indian origin, British, so really very international, but I've kind of found my roots recently in Dubai since 2007.
I love, I think your background is amazing. It's really diverse, and it also reflects in, I guess, your career, right? Can you tell us a little bit about your career?
Absolutely. As you rightly said, I mean, I never ever thought I was going to be I would never have thought that I was going to be an artist, let alone an NFT artist, right? So about 3 years ago, I mean, I've always worked in the financial sector. So I've always worked for very large banks, and insurance companies. And about 3 years ago, I decided I wanted to actually leave the corporate sector. So I've worked for places like Zurich, HSBC. And then I thought, let me go and move away from that and go into more of an entrepreneurial background, like to become an entrepreneur. So actually, I originally started off wanting to be an asset manager, right? To have my own independent asset management firm. But while I had some time off, I kind of just connected to that creative side. Not everybody has it, but if you do have it when you were a kid and you kind of left it along the side, you always kind of have this dream that maybe you'd go back to it. So I connected to it. When I did, I actually created, something that had never been created before, which is my voice note art, my multimedia art form, which I then realized nobody had done. I copyrighted it. And then I set around going, as you said, to study mixed media so I could really kind of bring it to life. So I mean, I then went from a banker to an artist, a traditional artist. And then I moved into NFT. So it's been a journey even just to get to the NFT space.
Well, earlier you mentioned that you thought of going into asset management, and you're actually doing that. Like NFTs, your art's a really, really valuable asset right now.
Yeah, I mean, how funny is that? I mean, it's, I always say I kind of work in, I've kind of got the trifecta, right? So you've got the finance side, you've got the art side, and then combining it with technology. And what's interesting is that when I created my art form, I had originally actually created it in, it was actually a digital art form. So I had created it digitally because I use sound. So I had to use quite a lot of different apps to capture the sound. I draw everything digitally, you know, but obviously before I discovered NFTs, there was no real way to actually monetize or like realize your digital asset, because the minute you create as a digital artist, prior to NFTs, the minute you create a digital asset, it becomes available to everybody, right? So then how are you gonna, you know, how do you have that level of scarcity, that value, you know, how do you make it valuable? So in my first year of creating, you know, voice note art, I ended up having to take it into the physical realm to be able to capture its value. So I was, you know, I had done live activations, you know, at different art fairs. In fact, I also went to Hong Kong to do one there, and I had stopped off actually in Singapore as well on my way back because I've got family there. And then I ended up painting murals. And then I got chosen for Expo 2020, where they had actually wanted to create, you know, like 3D installations of my sound wave art literally coming out of the ground. So that was really exciting. But then, you know, COVID hit, and all of the kind of physical way of being able to I would say, to like realize my art kind of just disappeared overnight. And then that's when I kind of got into finding out about digital art, and then that's what led me to NFTs.
Oh, wow. Okay, so definitely we have to talk about this trifecta. I think a lot of people are looking at, you know, how art and technology can collide. I have a lot of questions about that. But first, let's dig a little bit more about NFTs, because the first time I heard about NFTs was on this channel, DeFi Singapore. And like you said, right, that was one of my first questions. How can a piece of digital art, how can we make that, how do we create scarcity? How do we even sell? As an artist myself, I couldn't understand it. How have you seen that? But obviously, in your case, now you're running a really successful business selling digital art. When was the moment that it clicked for you that, wait, this actually works?
So yeah, I mean, I think it was, so I was saying it was during the pandemic. So because everything kind of dried up, and naturally, because the way I do my art, I end up having quite a lot of things that was digitized. So I thought to myself, let me go and create almost like an algorithm for it. So I was just playing around. I contacted a number of coders, and then I started working with that. And then I created something. I thought, oh, let me work out a front-end system to that. That kind of all led me to meeting the CTO and the co-founder of a marketplace called Terra Virtua, a guy called Jawad Ashraf. And he said to me, he was like, look, I need to explain to you what an NFT is. And this was around this time last year, around April, May, 2019, is the first time I heard of NFTs. But because I've been in finance, right, I understand blockchain, I understand Bitcoin, I understand the technology that underlines it. And I also, for the last year, had understood the limitations of creating digital art, but not being able to make it scarce. So for me, it just kind of clicked into place really quickly, in the sense that it was easy for me to understand that the art was the asset, the blockchain was the technology. By mining it into the blockchain, you get a unique identifiable code that then is able to be traded and sold, and then that's what gives it its scarcity, but also its liquidity. And then it's got so many other advantages, right? So from an artist perspective, or from a collector perspective, you then can have the scarcity, you can have the provenance. You don't need to be worried about whether you're going to damage it. It's got, really long-term longevity use, and it's a lot more liquid than a large piece of art. And then from the artist perspective, what NFTs meant for me is that I then could take a very stationary concept and then move it into a more dynamic art form, which actually holds more authentic to my art style, which is voice note art.
So I think that That's so fitting. As mentioned, I was trying to wrap my head around NFTs, and Leslie and I have also explored that topic quite a bit. But the minute he sent me your CNN interview and I heard you speak and I watched a few minutes of you creating your art, it clicked to me. I was like, this is a perfect example of why NFTs work. So before we go on, maybe can we show our audiences this voice note art? I noticed that you have it copyrighted. Is this
Yeah, absolutely. Because actually what I had done is when I created it, I thought to myself, I was like, oh my God, has somebody done this before? Because I definitely didn't want to be copying anybody, but I know I'd kind of created it from somebody somewhere in my head and my heart and my soul. So when I did, I just knew that it was such a unique idea that I needed to make sure that that was protected in that sense, because effectively everything, every word can come into it. So let me just share my screen and then I can describe it a little bit more. And for those, viewers that want to have, a bit more of a look, I recently was on the CNN, as you were saying, Adele, and it really, they just did such an amazing job at editing and actually showing my art in its full form. And I also have some videos on my website, again, just to kind of give an idea. So let me just share my screen here.
Yes, please. And also, you have a beautiful voice. So I think I saw a few clips of you saying Dubai.
Yes, exactly. Oh. So thank you. Let me, so I'd actually put this up here. So just give me 2 seconds. Let me kind of bring it up here. So this is my website, and effectively how, there's a video here that people can watch. I don't know, Adele, do you think we could play this video for a little bit, or should we just?
I think we have to play this video. I think people need to see the process. I feel like with your work especially, it's beautiful, but watching the process makes it even more beautiful. For me, I was blown away.
So I think I'll just show you the quicker one, and then the CNN, I think we can get people to watch it maybe later. But this
we can always link it later on.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just an introduction, and I'll play this now.
They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a word is also worth 1,000 pictures. The sound of someone's voice when they say a word or a phrase creates a flood of images that streams into the mind's eye to capture the spirit and essence of the sound. Whether it's a city, a person's name, or a feeling, there's so many images that come to mind that brings that sound to life. I first record the voice note, and that captures its fluid shape and structure. Then I hand draw each vertical line into individual images to match the meaning of the voice note. And when it's complete, it magically combines the artwork with the shape of the sound to create voice note art.
Perfect. So,
wow.
Yeah. So then, what ended up happening is from there is I started. I mean that in itself is unique, and that was when that video I made when I had first opened. I'd actually first discovered it, right? So am I still showing the main screen?
You can share if you want to. Yeah.
Sure.
Do you need to share?
Now. So, I mean, because we're talking to Singapore, let me show you the Singaporean one.
All right. Wow, I didn't know you had a Singaporean one.
Yeah, so you can see this one says Singapore, right? And so this is actually the shape and the sound wave of me saying Singapore. I've kind of got, if you look on my website, you can kind of see here, there's like lots of different, sound waves, right? And then the idea is that each one tells a different story. And it captures it. And you don't only have to look at places. I mean, I started off obviously with places because voice note art was something that has never existed, right? So I just wanted to do something, I would say, quite literal, that people can come and say and be like, oh, that, you know, oh, I recognize that story, right? So, but then, you know, you can have things like, you could also have phrases. So like this one says, you know, I love you, or, you know, year of tolerance. And the idea is that the images are always kind of matching the meaning of the word. And it's about being able to capture that essence, I would say. And then what ended up happening is that I kind of then moved a little bit to kind of creating people stories. So if you, like, for example, Adele, like, you know, you're interviewing me right now, but I mean, I could totally flip it on its head and I can interview you. So, you know, when an artist paints a portrait of a person, you know, like an old school kind of customized portrait, I would say, you hire an artist to paint a picture of you, right? And in that picture, like in the Mona Lisa, the artist has to kind of capture the essence of somebody, but in a very, I would say, just from that photograph. So what I do is I kind of interview somebody about their life. I get them to send me their name. So like, for example, Adele, you would send me your name. I would capture the shape and structure of your name. And then you would describe your life, and you would describe who you are as a person. So, you know, so here, this is one for, you know, Anil Mark Sethi, you know, and actually this is, I just put it here, but this is actually my husband. And, you know, he's half Indian, half Swiss, you know, very much into the chakras. So, you know, we met on platform 4. You know, he comes from Switzerland. You know, we went on, you know, he proposed to me at this place here. So it's all kind of captured in this really beautiful story, but this is somebody that we did as well. So it kind of captures, you know, the essence of it, right? So what was happening was I was creating these pieces of art and telling these stories. And then I realized, hold on, you know, I needed people to play back the sound that was, you know, that was connected to it, right? So what I ended up doing is, first, because you didn't have things like, I would say, because you didn't have, you know, this is the Singapore one. I'll keep it up while we're talking.
We have to share this more later. This Singapore image.
Like, so then I, you know, what ended up happening was, you know, if I take a 2D image, right, you couldn't play back the sound. So this is before NFT. So what I ended up doing is having a QR code that I ended up, like, if you see behind me, there's a QR code that's put across here, because this ended up playing back the sound that was able to play back this artwork, you know, like, so London, or even in the case of, you know, the custom portraits, people were giving me custom portraits and then giving like really lovely messages on it. So, you know, one guy created one for his mother, told her whole life story, sent it to the US with the QR code, and actually regularly updates that message on the QR code. So can you imagine just constantly that interplay with your artwork and, you know, an emotional message and always telling your story? So just in itself, the piece of artwork was, you know, just bringing tech into like a still 2D image pre-NFTs. Also was something that just like was such a, like it just touched people's heart, and it really was revolutionary just in itself. Does that make sense?
Yes, so let me get this right. Basically, Amrita, you were creating NFTs before there were NFTs.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm trying to tell a story here, but I can't just kind of give a digital file, but I need to tell the whole thing, right? So what then ended up happening is so this is why I kind of went along my journey, and then I discovered NFT. So I thought, oh, fantastic. Now I can tell a dynamic story. Now, instead of me spending 5 minutes explaining to you about the sound wave, about the voice, about the shape of the sound, then we could do something else. So I'm going to show you something now again. Here, we'll just go here.
Yes, and while you're pulling it up, you know, I think that this is why the minute I saw your work, I thought this connects NFTs to me so perfectly, because, you know, I understand the art. I understand maybe the digital side of it. I didn't understand, you know, the blockchain part, the finance part. How do we convince people? And then I saw what you were doing, and I was like, we have to talk to you about this more.
Exactly, because it really, I mean, this is exactly it for me. It's like NFTs were made for my skill sets, you know, as we said, the kind of trifecta side of it, and then also NFTs were also a way for me to really express my artwork in a way that I couldn't have done before. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is me saying the word Dubai. So you see this is the animation that comes up, and then each of the lines that come up to tell the story.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Well, and this happens whenever we scan the QR code, or it's an interactive platform that we need to be on.
So this is it. So I mean, yeah. So this is now available on Terra Virtual. Now this is my NFT, right?
Dubai.
So I didn't create the animation for all of them. So this is my NFT portfolio on Terra Virtua. This is what I've got available. So for example, let's just go to the Singapore one. For example, there's no animation to this because this was my, you know, this is, I would say, my OG. This is these are like my original collections that I didn't have, you know, this animation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
I animated the Dubai ones because we were just kind of playing around. Because remember, at the end of the day, when I first launched my collection, I didn't think at all that NFTs were going to become such a big thing so quickly. I knew they were going to be big, but I didn't realize that 2021 was going to be the year that they were going to be big, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So just went and animated a couple of them. And for example, I then told the story of 2020, right? So, so now we're seeing.
Can we see this one? I really like this one.
So this is 2020, and you see the symmetry of the sound waves, and then each of the lines is all of the stories of 2020 that's come up there. And
2020.
Oh, okay. It's a little bit small on my screen, but I think everyone who wants to see this they can go to Terra Virtua, right?
Yeah.
They can view it. It's like your online gallery, because I think we have to look at the details. Oh, there you go.
So that's a little bit bigger. And for example, here, just to kind of talk you through this story, this is something that everybody's familiar with, right? So, you know, there's a symmetry in the sound wave 2020, and I use the peaks of the sound wave to, you know, to kind of do this 2 meters distancing. I wanted to put Corona in the middle of it. So saying I can't breathe, because obviously when you have Corona, you can't breathe. You can't breathe when you're wearing your mask all day. And also, I can't breathe, also related to the Black Lives Matter movement in the US. I put, you know, the fact that we were kind of locked in at home, you know, all the things that we were using. So like Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, this was stuff that we were all like using. You know, Prince Harry leaving the royal family. But then also some really heartwarming moments of people on the balconies clapping and supporting the health workers. So it's almost like it's about telling the portrait. It's about telling a story, right?
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I love it
so much. And then what I then wanted to do, the next thing, was that I then was, okay, so what ended up happening was, you know, I'll stop sharing for a minute and I'll tell you.
Yes, because I wanted to see your face, because I'm going to go into a bit more about you. And I'm such a fangirl. I feel like I'm just looking at your art. I forgot that I'm interviewing you and hosting. I'm just like, wow.
It's nice because I think people, you know, you know, from this bit there, just to close off the story of the artwork, is that how it kind of went from, so I then kind of, I launched it in October 2020, right? And nobody knew what NFTs were. Nobody in Dubai, at least. I mean, I was the first NFT artist in the UAE. I did a talk and everybody was like, Amrita, what are you talking about? So, already they thought I was a bit crazy that I'd gone from finance into art, and then I'm now going into this weird blockchain stuff. And they thought it was very strange.
Well, I don't think I don't know. There's so much coherence in what you're doing with the art, finance, and the technology space, just looking at your work. And can we just pause for a moment, because I have a question for you. What is your biggest sale price item to date?
Oh, well, yeah. So this is what I wanted to explain to you. So what ended up happening is going from a point of nobody knowing about my art to then the Beeple sale. So what happened is in March this year is Beeple sold for $69 million. And then everyone who I've been yapping on about it for ages were like, Amrita, now can you please explain to me what an NFT is? So, I got so many questions about what is an NFT? What is an NFT? What is an NFT? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to create artwork about it. So this is leading me to my highest selling item. So if I kind of look here, so this is the artwork that I created. Bear with me, I'm going to bring it up here. So that you can see it in its full glory. So this is saying what the NFT.
That's really awesome, man. I really love this. you have the Ethereum. You have the Ethereum logo that I can see with the NFT. That's so cool. I really love that, man. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And it says this it kind of expresses the incredibility, the fascination, all of it encompassed in that word, right? And everyone's saying it's just a JPEG. And the way I wanted to create this artwork was that, people could tell, people who did it, because for me, I'm a bridge between the physical world and the digital world or the virtual world. And what I wanted is this art to explain to the people in the physical world, almost as like an educational tool. So everything from rare Pepes to crypto kitties to the 69 million to what a drop is. I divide the art world now into before Beeple and after Beeple. This is an abstract version of Nyan Cat. For those who don't know, that went for $6 million as well. This is Meta Coven, who I think lives in Singapore, but of Indian origin, and he bought the Beeple work. This is, crypto punks.
Amrita, you're not showing your screen, so I think because this is on a static page.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you're not seeing the screen. Oh, I thought we were seeing it. So sorry.
The one that you said that he bought for people just bought some NFTs from you as well.
Yeah. So let me just bring it up. Sorry about that. I think you were seeing this screen. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is what I was saying about how Meta Coven bought the people. So this is the artwork that I was just showing. Did you not see that? Sorry.
I saw it. It wasn't?
Okay. Yeah. So then from here, what I then did is I decided to then create, because now with NFTs I could then take it into a new realm. And this is the piece that sold for Adele, to answer your question. This is my highest selling piece for $102,000. Can you see my screen?
Nice.
$102,000. Amazing. And you started this again when? You started selling 2020 October.
2019 October.
Wow.
So my other pieces were going for, I've got still some pieces at $3,000, but most of my pieces were going for $10,000. But because this is unique in itself and I can play it in a bit, I think this is it. It's because it's, as you said, Adele, it's like a new way to show art, right? Would you like me to play it?
Yes, please. Waiting for it.
Okay, there we go. Let's go for it. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Perfect.
What the NFT?
Oh, too cool, man.
Ethereum, Bitcoin, blockchain, Voice note art, traditional art, revolution, democracy, paradigm shift. Experience it in a whole new way. Here to stay, new world, parallel worlds, the future.
Way
I mean,
too
can I
cool,
just
man.
say, like NFT or no NFT, technology or finance, taking tech and finance out of the picture, just even as a piece of art, digital art on its own, it's brilliant. It's so good. I really like it.
I love about like the NFT thing for my art is that you've seen now the journey, right? We went from something very static to then a 2D animation, and then now you're literally, I wanted the viewer to literally go into the artwork like a sound wave. And I think this for me is literally just the beginning. I mean, it's going the kind of level and depth that we can go into now because of NFTs is super exciting for me.
So I know we're going to go into that next, and I know you have a lot of things lined up, but first let's get a bit more personal. How do you feel when you first realized that, you know, you're going to go from selling your pieces for like 10,000 to like 10x, 102,000? How was that moment for you when you found out? And who was the first person you told?
Well, I mean, I was funny because I was live streaming. So I actually did an exhibition about a month ago to release the NFT, and it was, so I was actually filming it in my my bedroom. I mean, in my main sitting room. Sorry, and that also was just a unique experience, right? Where I'm now streaming. It's like this is the change in how art is consumed or how people are watching. Is that you're no longer restricted to just your local market. Like typically what would have happened before is I would have done an exhibition, it would have been in Dubai, I would have had to, just invite the people within this network. But like now this is opened up to a whole new world. So I'm sitting there within my sitting room, live streaming to the globe to showcase a piece of art, which in itself is unique. So what was super exciting was just seeing the bids go up and up and up because this is, and I think because I think it kind of captures the potential of an NFT, this the whole concept and the artwork. There's more to it than obviously just the artwork as well, if that makes sense. But I'm not somebody, I would say that I mean I've never been overly driven by money in that sense. I've been in money for a long time, so I understand the necessity of it. But what I find, and especially I didn't get into NFTs to make a lot of money, if that makes sense, because I didn't know when it was going to be a big deal or, how many years it was going to be and where I would kind of sit on it. So for me, the most exciting thing is really kind of understanding where I can take my artwork and the levels of creativity that this can allow me to go into.
Right, I agree with you. I mean, I am an artist myself, and I, so I completely understand. We didn't choose to do this for money. Just it's about the journey. But I also think that because this is so new, and because the first time I saw an NFT, these guys showed me a stick man. So hearing that your piece like sold for $102,000 to me, it legitimizes the new space. Of course, your art speaks for itself, but NFTs, it's so new. But now we're seeing all these sales, right? It's because of these high-ticketed items being sold that everyone's sitting up and going, wait, what is this again? Paying attention to it.
Exactly. And I think that also it puts the, okay, so you also say, okay, it's not about making money, but there are a lot of people, that art, I mean, I come from a finance background, as you know, and I was in private wealth management. So my aim in life was always to find out a lot about people's businesses, about their lives, about their goals and dreams. And, in every industry, it's completely accepted and understood that people need to make money from a career, right? So whether it's any law or accounting, whatever, people do business and they make money. Whereas then I came into the art world, and it was almost like if you discussed money, you would be seen as, oh, you're just a commercial artist. All you want to do is make a lot of money. And then I'm thinking, but, I've been in a whole different, I've interviewed all people in every single industry. And it was almost like, artists are not allowed to talk about money. They're not almost allowed to even make a lot, because then they're seen as that. So I think it kind of, for the living artists today, it revolutionizes the art industry, and it creates artists as entrepreneurs, because that's what an artist is. People make a whole living from this. So I do think that having the transparency, democratization across the art industry, artists being able to take ownership of their potential, but also making a living from it, it does also revolutionize it in a way. And I think we can't just gloss over that.
Right. And I think I think your profile is so useful for fellow artists out there, right? Because you come from a world of business, from finance, from management, so you understand what it actually takes to manage this business. You're not afraid of handling money or discussing a deal, which I think some artists have traditionally had problems with. But at the same time, you were created to do art. Like earlier you were sharing with us, if I can share with our viewers, because this was a very interesting piece of tidbit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at Amrita's name, and do you want to tell us?
Yeah. So exactly. So I think one of the most fun parts of the journey that I'm going through is just learning to look at things in a really different way. I think sometimes when we go into our lives, we're so we get into a routine, right? And I don't think we sometimes notice even the simplest things, or just think a little bit outside the box. And a real classic, so what I've loved so far with this whole journey is that I've taken my mind, re-scrambled it, and I'm just looking at the world in a different place, to the point where it was about 2-3 years ago when I started this journey. I looked at my own name, which I've had for, I'm not going to tell you how many years of my life, but I've had it for all of my life. This word Amrita, if I spell out those letters, actually spells out I am art.
It's beautiful.
So
makes so much sense.
Yeah,
Love it. And I think you're really, I think a lot of people would find you very, very inspiring, because like you said, I think a lot of artists do need that encouragement to keep going, especially in today's world. Do you have any advice for aspiring artists who are looking to the NFT space right now and feeling like, I don't get it, I don't know if I can do it, or what should I? Do you have any advice to share?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I have a lot of advice because I've been through it. But
Tell us all of it.
I would say that, when I got into this space, so when I was deciding, when I was releasing my artwork, remember NFTs wasn't a thing, right? So I'm thinking,
yeah, it's so very brief. I want to ask you more about that. You just stepped into it.
I could have decided I'm going to mint like 500, and if I'd gone on the maths money thing, I'd be like, oh, I could sell 500 for like $100 and times that by X, and okay, whatever. But I mean, my advice is don't think like that. Think about and that's why I'm saying it's important. Money is important for an artist, because I do think it's important that people earn a lifestyle and a career off of it. But I do think that you shouldn't then be driven by money to make artistic decisions. So what I mean by that is I decided very early on that I wanted to have rarity and scarcity in my work. I didn't want to be that artist who's going to mint 500 or 1,000 copies or whatever the case is.
Affordable art, that kind of stuff.
So I minted mainly one of ones. I did do 2 collections where I did one of 10, because I wanted a bit of a lower entry point, because I wanted, again, I don't want to outprice people out of the market either, right? So I wanted people who didn't know about art, my art specifically, who was nervous about collecting NFTs, as a bit of a stepping stone into the art world. But I always decided to keep very low. So my advice to artists is think about, if you're currently a traditional artist and you're moving to becoming an NFT, think already, who are your collectors? Are they collected? And what do you do already? Are you somebody who, does do multiple prints and copies? Are you at an affordable range? Are your collectors educated enough? Do they like to have that, or are they more sophisticated? So I think deciding, just like you would decide what kind of a traditional artist you want to be, you should also decide what kind of an NFT artist you want to be, and also what story you're going to tell with your art as well.
Wow. I think we have to edit out that part. Advice for aspiring artists from Amrita. I also want
we have a question. I thought this is a very important question to answer, right? So, what happens to the ownership of the NFT if one person purchases it? I mean, is it something that you could just briefly help our viewers understand? If someone buys your art piece, right? How does it work?
Yeah, so I mean, I could even share. Should I share the screen, or should I just talk about it?
Share the screen. I will never complain about looking at your work.
Yeah, so I think if we kind of do it just at a very high level, if you think about the blockchain as the technology and the NFT art is the asset, that gets combined. You have an individual, unique identifiable code, which then becomes the NFT. That NFT is then being able to trade or sell if you want to sell it. So you have things called the primary market, where the collector buys it directly from the artist, and then you're able to then, once that's sold, you're then able to buy it from that next collector. And I'm going to show you a practical example, because I think the other thing that's really important is practical examples, right? So, which a lot of people, I know you guys do some work on that as well within it. So let's just take, for example, this is what the NFT that's sold for $102,000 here. Now that's already been sold. But if you want to make an offer, you go in, you click that, and then you've got to log in and stuff. But you then go in and make an offer. Whereas something like this one is still available to be bought directly from myself as the artist. So you can just add it to the cart, right? Or if we go to, since again we're talking to the Singapore thing, the Singapore audience, again, that's available and you can just add to cart. But some of them are already sold, so you can make an offer.
Yeah, if I could afford it, I want to buy this one. I like this one, the 2020.
Yeah, so thank you very much. So I think what people need to understand is just that is what was also important, why I chose Terra Virtua as a platform. So you've got now the art, how you buy the art. Also, you can buy in fiat, as you can see, you can buy it in dollars. Yep. You can also buy it in ETH, but it does give people the ability to buy in dollars. And I think, what's good is that people are able to, not everybody is in the crypto space, right? I know, Leslie, Adele, you guys do a great job of trying to educate people about the crypto markets and everything, but not everybody's in that space. So I wanted to also create that where people felt comfortable enough. And the good thing about a platform like Terra Virtua or Marketplace is you can buy in fiat, you have that option, but also you can see it. You have a fan cave which you can go and see your art in, you can put it into a gallery. And these are now about how you start to view your art. It becomes a different ballgame.
So even though a piece of art is owned, somebody can make an offer to try and buy it from the owner. So you can resell and resell the one that's over $102,000. So it could 10x again.
Absolutely. And the difference is that I will always get 10% of the royalties. I will always get X percentage every time it's sold, right? So it then disrupts the traditional market. I know in the traditional world now they also do that with certain pieces of art, but this is locked in. It's locked into the smart contract. So it just makes everything so.
Wow.
So can I just make it to summarize for our viewers? What it means is that on Terra Virtual, you are able to use two forms of payment methods, right? One is the normal credit card way of doing it, purchasing, and the other one would be or via through cryptocurrencies that they may or may not that they hold. So that could be two ways. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's right.
And if someone buys the art, like for example, if everyone's like looking at this and at Singapore, I'm just crossing fingers by the end of the week, someone will buy the art, right, from you. And how does he display that, that proud moment of owning this, art piece? Because it's digital, right? I mean, I feel that there is a barrier to entry for a lot of people at this point of time because art has always been perceived as a tangible, physical, art piece versus something that's digital, and that person may not be able to display it per se. So, are there options that's provided for this when we buy it, the NFT from virtual?
Yeah, virtual. Yeah. So I think the cool thing is that first of all, like the exciting thing is I only have 8 pieces left. I think out of like 51 pieces available on the primary market, and Singapore weirdly is one of them. So I only of those pieces left, which I'm really happy about. Again, from an NFT perspective, people are talking about it, but really who's buying them, and that's also a question that I'm sure you can address in one day in another show. But the fact that my art has sold, and in fact, most of my art also sold pre-Beeple. So that's why I kind of differentiate between the two kind of eras as such. But what a really cool way is that, okay, you buy the art, but when you say like, what's that moment, right? This is the thing with digital art. It becomes, what you're doing is you actually, yes, we can view it and I can show you ways which you can view it. But what you're doing is you start to then have this intrinsic sense of knowledge that you own it. And what I mean by that, and this is like, when I explain it to people, to other people when they say, but Amrita, and I mean, even on what the NFT it addresses is like, I can't hang the art on my wall. What's the point? We've gone digital on everything else except for art. So like money. Can you touch and feel all your money? You don't go to the bank every day and say, I want to see my money, but you have an intrinsic sense of knowledge that you own that money, that you can do what you want with it, that you can, buy more Bitcoin, or even when you own Bitcoin, it's not like you get a physical Bitcoin, right? So it's that intrinsic sense of knowledge has shifted. Another classic example I use to help people wrap their heads around it is around photos, right? So we don't print off all of our photos like we used to, but I guarantee you, if you lost your phone tomorrow with all your photos in it, I mean, there's real loss. There's a real feeling of loss there, right? So I would say the first thing, which is a not so obvious thing, would be this immediate sense of ownership. Like, just like how now you were just saying, Adele, you want to buy the 2020. That one sold for $10,000, right? Mm-hmm. The $10,000 with the animation, the $7,000. Now, straight away, you have to go buy it from that other person. Now, when you own it, you've got it, right? So it's just that feeling of, it's potentially going up in value. Somebody sends you an offer. So it starts to become fun. Your art is, you're also interacting with it. But sometimes people buy art not to sell it, right? So a cool way, and I will share with you just a little bit here, the screen. So what Terra Virtua does is, if you kind of go to their website, I can't kind of go completely with it, but you can see my screen, right? So, hello?
Yes.
Yeah, you guys can see it. So here, like, there's a Terra Virtual Art Gallery, and that's like 3D where you can move around in it. You do need access to a PC, so I'm actually on a Mac at the moment. What would be cool is, like, if you can see here, can you see this bit here? This is a sitting. So actually, this is a fan cave. So you could actually create your own fan cave where you put up the artwork within that fan cave, and you can show people your artwork and all the other collectibles that you bought. Similarly, I mean, they do other kind of more collectible stuff. You know, you can even buy rocket ships and put it into like a terror.
So let's go there. Let's go there. I thought I saw something about this. What are you working on next? Are you working on something that's virtual reality, AR?
Yes. So my next thing in terms of where we're going from there. So I mean, if you go to my CNN interview, you know, within the CNN interview, it shows actually going into the art gallery and what it feels like. But in terms of my own collection with voice note art, yes, the future is exciting, because I'm going to be, you know, using, and what I'm going to be wanting to use is elements of augmented reality, virtual reality, as well as AI. And so now, as an artist, I've just got a new set of tool brushes, right, that I just didn't have before. And now imagine a world where, you know, okay, we've now gone into a 2D animation, which, I mean, a 3D, but it's still 2D. Now imagine you're able to go into those same elements that I did within the NFT. You're actually going in yourself. Now imagine you're in VR and you're surrounded by the artwork itself. You can see the sound, you can hear the sound, you're walking through the elements, all stuff that, you know, again, let's just go back to the image behind me. That doesn't take you there, right? Augmented reality can help you discover more about the art pieces. So each of the elements will come up and it'll tell you about that. It can be used as an educational tool. So, you know, when people say, oh, NFTs is just about making money, or it's just about a use case of blockchain, I would say it's a new art form. And I definitely don't think it's going to replace traditional art, but I do think it's a, you know, it's a new medium. It's like, and this is it, but in the future, this will be come down in history as the moment where a new art form has been created.
Yes. So I have my pet question that I have to ask, because this hour just flew by. So my pet question is, you're taking us so far into the future. We're talking, you know, virtual reality, augmented reality, and that's what our audiences are here for. But also because as artists, let me take you guys back a few centuries, and let's talk about the Renaissance period, right? So that was when art underwent a rebirth, when people were thinking it was so hard for artists to continue on, and that maybe it's the craft dying, but no, they saw this rebirth during the Renaissance period. Do you think that for art, with the help of technology, we can now enter our version of the Renaissance period? Because you just said, like, this is not going to make fine art go away. This is not going to kill the craft, which makes me stressed out thinking about that.
No, for me, this is a new art era, and I can see in some of the comments people talking about how it can help with either mental healing or kind of different counseling, whatever the case is, and telling stories. For me, the future of where I want to take this is definitely into a more abstract form. I want to kind of give a voice to the voiceless. You can tell people's stories in a really interesting, dynamic way. I want to be able to capture human consciousness and be able to tell that story within it. So if you think about every word has got a meaning, you know, you then talk about every language has a meaning. How many images come to mind per word? So, you know, so for me, there's subcategories. You've got the kind of the revolutionizing of NFTs into this new form, which, as you said, is like a new Renaissance era that we're moving into. But then just within my own voice note kind of medium, the potential is endless, right? So I think I'm really excited about all of that, and you know, we'll see. What I'm going to be working on a collection this summer, and I'll be excited to reveal it later on in the year.
Okay, you can't tell us anything right now.
Well, it will be something more abstract. So it'll be more, because obviously I started off with very literal elements. Because I needed people to understand the idea. And I do feel now that people have kind of got quite far onto that. And so I think it'll be a little bit more abstract, but also.
So what this means for us is that you're going to have to come back here in 6 months and tell us about it. and share more with us. So I'm going to give our audiences maybe just 3 more minutes to throw out your questions in the comments, while I, of course, have one more question for Amrita. Tell us a bit more about you. We've been talking so much about the work, the space. Is there anything else that excites you in the crypto space? What else do you do when you're not doing this?
So, I mean, I'm actually doing a piece for African Blockchain Week at the end of June. And so it's being held in Morocco. So I'm going to be doing a Morocco voice note. I am really excited about blockchain and how that's going to really change everything that we do from, from logistics to farming to art. So I do think I'm excited about that.
What do you do when you're not? What do you do to decompress, to take a break from art and tech?
But it's so funny, before I was doing finance and I took art to take a break.
So you don't need a break.
I think in a weird way, whenever I paint, I'm taking it's like my little meditation and my thing. But I live in Dubai, I love the beach, I love to see friends and family, and that's what's really important.
Right, okay, let's just do a quick check. Are there any questions, Leslie, that from our audience that we want to address?
There was someone who asked about whether you want to, are there plans to exhibit in Art Base? So yeah.
So I mean, I would love. Yeah, I mean, my life has happened so organically that I've not even had time to kind of proactively go and think about like going to Art Basel. But what I am speaking to is NFT Basel. So it's and it's spelled BZL, and they're going to be doing an exhibition in Miami next week, and hopefully they'll be coming to Dubai in December and being part of the NFT Basel movement. But I would be interested to see how big art fairs like Art Basel will be welcoming artists like myself in the NFT space, and I've just not had time to get into that. But I do
feel that there's going to be a still an educational phase, right? Because there are still a lot of traditional artists that want to get in the space who don't understand the technology and what more the financial aspect to the technology, right? Is that trifecta that you have mentioned. I think that's really key, and I've been really blessed to have you on the show to have you talk about all 3 aspects of this, right? Because we've been telling people about the technology and the finances, that's already a mind-blowing stuff, really. Like that's like a big hurdle for people to even understand, like how does the traditional money notes become digital in the first place. So there's still that gap, and I think because we are such early movers, I do believe we are the earliest in terms of when it comes to the technology and the crypto side of things, and especially for yourself, and when you do the digital artwork first. I mean, it's good to know that you actually had that initial runway, right? Before this whole thing came to fruition, right? And you kind of spend that 1 year or 1+ years to actually dabble into that digital space, right? Before even coming on to the using the technology as well. So I kind of thought that that's a very good anchor for a lot of budding artists as well. So there's 2 sides of things, right? There are those people who want to take on the artwork but don't know how to already knows the technology, and the other vice versa, right? So I mean,
to answer that very quickly, it's just that I came into this, rightly so, as I said, I just went into it because it spoke to my art. And I know a lot of artists have got now this feeling of FOMO, that I've kind of missed the boat. So artists don't feel like you missed the boat, because this is just the beginning, as you just said. And also to the artists out there, don't also get into NFTs because you think it's going to be a quick rich either, because everything is going to normalize, and collectors will want to look at the art, what the artist is creating, rather than how much money everything. So it's a bit of a balance that I think everybody has to try.
Yeah, awesome. It gave me goosebumps, hearing you talk about the future of art in this space, as well as what you have lined up as well. We had one last comment.
Oh yeah, there you go. Encouragement from our viewers.
Love to see your work. So let's pull up also. Let's also before we end the show, because it's 1 minute to 10 o'clock in Singapore. It's almost been an hour. Where can we find your work? Can we just pull up maybe your Instagram account or your Terra
The links, the links are in the in the video itself.
Okay.
So,
I normally go Art by Amrita or Amrita Sethi, so you type into both of them, but the links are there. Yeah, I mean, follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, my YouTube channel. I really encourage you to watch the recent CNN feature that was done on me. And I do think hopefully, the point was getting into public art galleries or corporates. I would love to be able to kind of start to tell, new stories. And I think that will also be the exciting thing going forward.
Well, on that note, I would really love to have you on a show again. After your new whole season of your series that you're coming at, and what Adele has mentioned earlier as well. So we really look forward to the next time that you are going to join us on the show. And I think because of time, we're going to close off the session. Adele, any final words?
Yeah, we're going to have to let Amrita go, I think, unwillingly. So all the best. Thank you once again for joining us. We will be keeping an eye out for your work and trying to pull you back here once you're ready. Leslie, do you want to close the show?
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
so
thank you very much.
Tell us if the Singapore piece sells today.
Are we off now?
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
We can have a quick show. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Let me close the show off first, and then we'll come back and we'll chit chat. Yeah.
Link directly to the Singapore piece. So there we go. So much.
Thank you all for joining, guys. It's been a pleasure, right? And I really hope we'll bring Amrita back to again. When the next time her season is back. Let's wish her all the best for her current series. She's got 8 left, right? So it's gonna be all that she can sell off the all 8, and then she can move on to the next series. Wish her all the best. Thank you for joining it on DeFi Singapore on Wednesdays.
Thank you for inspiring artists.
Yeah, we will be back on next Wednesday again for us to catch up on our moon charts. We didn't talk about it this week. Our trading stuff. Steve's gonna take on a break. So we're gonna pull him back again. So thank you all for joining in. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.